So I think it's been 2 years since my last shop tour, and of course a shop changes quite a bit in 2 years. So why don't you come on in and let me show you around. I guess just gonna give you a little bit about the building itself. This is a building in our backyard, and it was a big reason why we purchased the house. It's 800 square feet total, but it does have a full bathroom and a good sized closet that houses the pool equipment. So actually usable space, I have about maybe roughly 600 square feet. So still a great amount of size. I guess this is the kind of entryway of the shop, and it's where I keep the majority of my wood storage. So this is my lumber rack. I had one similar to it, but it was a little bit smaller. So I just went ahead and expanded it since it just have wood everywhere. It houses a full sheet of plywood on the back, and then does the cutoff pieces on the front. And then I have some wall mounted wood racks up on the wall. And then paint cans. The way that I handle my shop when I am planning out where to put something is I try to put things on the top of my walls that I don't reach for very often. Then I try to keep the space where it's like eye level and below for the things that I'm constantly using. So like my ladder is actually on my ceiling here. And people are constantly saying, so you need a ladder to get to your ladder. Well, in my shop, I constantly keep a step stool readily available because there's so many things that I need it for in order to access. A lot of my lumber, my paint cans, yes, my ladders, but I'd rather that than to take up valuable lower wall space with things that I hardly ever use. Coming in this way, I have a drill press stand, and in my shop, I try to make everything that I build mobile. I love to have the flexibility of being able to move things around as my shop is changing. And then this is one of three folding workbenches. It is actually a T-track table, and then I just have the legs tucked up underneath it where I can very easily deploy them and have a table. And then on the same hand, I can very easily retract them and put this back into the wall. So in my shop, I don't have a permanent like workbench area or assembly table. And I get that comment so often that I need to build one. Nah, I would much rather preserve the space and make do with folding away workbenches, at least for the time being. Who knows, maybe I'll change my mind eventually, but for right now, I'd much rather have all of this open space if I desire it. So this is something that's new from my last shop tour is a window unit. I cut a hole in the wall, put in a few more studs, and then threw this in. A buddy's work was throwing it away, so he salvaged it and brought it to my shop. So that's a pretty nice gift. Head unit, this thing is a workhorse. It's a Harman Kardon, and it must be just chock full of dust, and it's still working great. Power tools area and pegboard. Power tools are all hung on French cleat systems, and I love it because I can just very easily reach and grab what I need and then put it back. The items with cords, I have a hook where I can just roll up the cord and throw it on the hook. The main comment I get about this system is, what about the dust? What about it? I work in a wood shop. Things are bound to get dusty. These tools are not going to stop working just because a little dust gets on them. But I have recently put in a dust collection system. You can see here I cut a hole in my shop, and I have a Harbor Freight, I think it's a 2-horse unit, on the other side of this wall. I built a small lean-to shed to house it in. So I cut a hole in my shop and then just piped it into my bandsaw and my table saw. Hand tools, I went ahead and also put on a French cleat system. This system is just very versatile and great, and I love being able to just take something off of the cleat, and then if I wanted to, I could put these cleats in a different area of my shop if I ever wanted to relocate them all. Bandsaw, it's a Grizzly 14-inch, and it's a pretty new addition to the shop. I think early last year I got it, and it's been great. Before that, I only had a jigsaw to work with, and cutting a thicker stock, even like a 2x4, was just a little difficult. So I'm very glad to have that. Ever since getting the Harbor Freight unit, people are asking what I'm going to be doing with this dust right unit. No, I'm not getting rid of it because this thing works great. I think what I want to do is move it over to the other side of my shop and hook it up to my miter saw and maybe even my planer. So we'll see. That's going to be a future project. So for the dust collection system, I have a remote with this receiver here. And so I can very easily, wherever I'm at in my shop, turn on my dust collection system. Wood storage, you'll see as I'm walking around that the wood is all stored on the top of the walls. The good thing about my walls being made out of OSB is that I can just run in screws or nails anywhere and simply hang things from them. People are constantly telling me that I need to paint the walls white. Nuh-uh. Not only would that be an awful time trying to paint it, but I really like the vibe that the OSB puts off for a shop environment. So I'm gonna leave it be. This is something that's new from my last shop tour. In my last shop tour, I was still working with my Craftsman aluminum frame. I think it's a contractor saw. And so I upgraded to a 3-horse cabinet grade saw. And this is, it was actually my graduation present. So it's my love. Some simple clamp storage, nothing fancy, it's just out of PVC. Then the miter saw. I built this stand, it's compact whenever the wings fold down, and then you can fold them out on both sides. Also, again, it's mobile, so I can move it around if I need to. Has a shelf here where I can throw cutoffs that I want to keep for future projects, and then a scrap bin that is firewood whenever I start up a fire. And then of course the wings collapse again whenever I want to fold it away. Some paint rack that I built a long time ago. It had an additional shelf in here, but I ended up taking it out because I needed to relocate this. It's a long story, but pretty much the paint cans are stored to where you can see what you have and easily reach and grab. Here's where I keep my thickness planer and also my spindle sander. Again, mobile screw boxes. Who doesn't have a few of these? Just a simple little project to keep them organized. Here is another folding workbench. These sides fold in, and then the tabletop can collapse down. However, I built this hardware caddy with removable bins, again on the French cleat system, whenever I had a permanent workbench. And since getting rid of the permanent workbench, I have really just no good space for this caddy. So this is actually on my list to replace and put somewhere else. Paint can, I have lots and lots of paint. Then this is where I put any of the notes that I get from viewers, stickers from other YouTubers as well. And this is actually that paint cabinet I was referring to, or paint cabinet. This is the pool equipment closet. So all of the pool equipment is housed in there. And I was just peeking my head in here yesterday actually, and there's quite a bit of room that's not being utilized. So you'll probably be seeing some projects in here later on this year. And then this is another folding workbench that I have. It tucks up into the wall. Most of the time it is down, but I, again, just love the ability to tuck it away whenever it's not being used. Of course, the trick with folding workbenches is that you have to keep them clean so that you can fold them away. And I guess on that note, the key that I have found to having an organized shop is to actually have a place for things to go. Like I have a place for my hammer to go and my stud finder to go and my screw boxes to go. So they don't collect on my workbench, because at the end of a project or at the end of the day, I take 30 minutes and I'm able to put things away because they have a place. So if you're trying to work on organizing your shop, I think the first thing you need to do is make home for things to go. I have a holder for my sawhorses to go, and this is actually, I utilize those a lot with these pieces of OSB. Sink, very convenient to have in a shop. I can rinse out my sprayer or my paintbrushes very quickly. And then a second speaker, because I love my sound. And then that brings me back to the entryway. You can see I have a second ladder stored on the ceiling. I have still a lot of stuff to do in this entryway area. I have my CNC stored here for the time being, and a lot of like just miscellaneous boxes stored underneath it. I need to tear out this cabinet, and I have some good amount of wall space that I can still utilize. And the same with here. I can do something with this. I recently moved my work center here, which is a router table and also a table saw, but I don't think I'm gonna keep this here. So we'll see where I end up putting this. The back of my door is where I keep some signs that I've collected, and then my clamp storage that I recently did a video on. Is that it already? I never get to show anybody my shop, so this is fun. I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you pick up a few things along the way that could maybe help improve your own shop. Again, I have the videos, if you've seen anything that you want to replicate, in the description below. And I guess I'll see you the next time I'm actually building something. I hope that you enjoyed the tour.